I made a conscious effort to move family in the direction of organic foods and herbs, supplements, certain kinds of herbs, and herbs that encapsulated the prana element. It was very interesting, actually. You should read about it. There's some really. So when we did this, the business was a disaster for a few years. I mean, we lost money year after year, and it's only because, as a dominant shareholder of the company, I was able to keep, following one's heart and not having to report quarter-on-quarter numbers on this. But today, in a matter of literally 10 years, we have built an enterprise which has recently been valued close to 1,000 crores. And I'm throwing out a big number only because look at how it happened. I worked for an organic farmer because I was wandering aimlessly in my life. I was not in New York getting a job with an investment bank. I ended up meeting an Ayurvedic doctor who gave me the best 3 business lessons of my life, separately from what he taught me about the prana of foods and herbs and all. And those 2 thoughts came together when I took a trip to the Punjab and saw the damage of commercial agriculture. So in order for all this to happen, those 2 things that I spoke about, one is just wandering aimlessly. We're all taught to do something for a purpose. We're taught to go to a meeting only if it brings us some benefit. So you go to a distributor's meeting or this meeting because it's bringing you some benefit. But imagine if you just let yourself open to sort of wander through life. And you get a sense of doors open for you as you go along. And I don't know, this sounds a little airy-fairy, but I can give you so many examples from some of the best ideas in my life and for the business, ideas that have propelled us forward in many ways, have come from that kind of wandering aimlessly. Because what happens is when you wander aimlessly, your brain accumulates a tremendous amount of information which it catalogs somewhere in the back of your head. Like it did when I worked for this organic farmer in the US. I could get no gain from it. He was paying the minimum wage. And as a bright college student, I could have gotten a lot more. But it added a dimension to your mind and your thinking, which wasn't there early enough for me. Then the next thing happened is I met this Ayurvedic doctor, and I developed an interest in Ayurveda, and I studied it. And then I realized there's a whole science behind Ayurveda, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, the Prakriti, the doshas, we really got in deeper and deeper into it. And he had some amazing insights. He one day told me, I brought him an article from an American magazine saying that coffee is actually good for you. So he said, one year they say coffee is good for you, next year they say coffee is bad for you. And every year they've been doing this, 1 year, 1 year. He said, when coffee goes into your system, it's not what you eat, but what your system digests is the true thing. He says you can drink 2 cups of coffee, and it can be for certain types of people with certain digestions whose prakriti is in a certain way. Coffee can be the best thing for you. And for other people, it can be like poison. You cannot make a generalized statement. This was one of the many things I learned from him. So anyway, the experience of working on the organic farm stayed with me. The experience of spending time with this Ayurvedic doctor stayed with me. Then I went to the Punjab and the penny dropped. Now when the penny dropped, we started something, and today I can tell you that the revolution is beginning. Our herbs, our herbal supplements, we cannot stock them fast enough. In the case of most of our organic products, we are now having to limit our customers. People said this is a return to the license permit, Raj. I said, I'm sorry, we just don't have enough supply to keep up with demand. And most business people are like, how did you think of this? Which meeting did you go to? I went to no meeting. It comes through this process. So for the people who are directed like this all the time, my only advice is that in a world of rapid and uncertain change, this is the worst way to be. The worst way to be. And the thing is that when you open yourself up to people who are great thinkers, I once went to a small town in America called Madison, Wisconsin, because I read a report written by someone. And I went, and he said, listen, since you made it all the way here, he served me lunch at his house, and we had a nice conversation. And he said, you know, what you're going to need is really good advice. Seek out the best advice, pay whatever it costs you, and know that you will have paid too little. I said, ye banda bhi thoda little screw loose, giving me this advice. Seek out the best advice, pay whatever it needs, and know that you will pay too little. I was like, okay, what a nutcase. Anyway, I went away from there. When Fabia faced its first real challenge, we were an export company doing very good business, and we suddenly in 1 year lost many of our customers. I wanted to reinvent ourselves as a business, and I remembered this guy's advice. So I met somebody through a family friend, and everybody said this guy's brilliant. You know, he was really smart, he was an IIM Ahmedabad graduate, topped his class, did really well, and had worked for a big MNC. I couldn't afford to pay the person. So I said, what do? I said, listen, I will pay you this much and give you the balance and equity. And if we can build a company, I'll guarantee you that I'll give you an exit on the equity. That was all I had to give. I really couldn't pay. And he said, you know, I think I believe in this company. I'm going to. He came into the company overnight, gave us ideas, thoughts, procedures, systems, templates, the kind of stuff I could never have dreamed of. And our growth went like this. And as a result of it, his equity went up like this. But I often get approached by people to say, oh, come and you know, involve yourself in our business, or join our board, or help us with, in one case, a family dispute. In the case of the family dispute, it was really interesting. I knew both sides of the family, and they both trusted me, and they were fighting. I went to the first meeting. I went to 3 meetings as a friend. Then I realized there was going to be some time to organize it, and I said that, look, I'm happy that you pay me, and I'm going to give this as a donation to the school I run. And I'll give a little bit to my wife, because we have a project we want to do, and I don't have the budget to do it. And they offered me a really dumb amount of money. I was like, okay, I don't need to be here. And I'm being very honest about this. I think one of the things that businesses routinely don't do in an area of change is hire really good minds and advisors. The one thing, if you see our balance sheets, the one thing we pay huge amounts of money for is to connect with smart brains. I mean, it's really the best investment. We haven't bought, our head office is on rented land. Everybody says, why don't you buy your head office, pay the money. I'm like, that capex is going to be badly spent. I know property prices keep going up, I know that, but I'd rather spend it on bringing on